All right, we are doing lesson 2.1.1 today, and we are looking all at patterns and linear functions. So there's a couple things that we need to know going into today's lesson. One is about functions that we did earlier in this year. So I just want to really quickly remind you, if you have a function like y equals 2x plus 1, right? If they tell us what x is, so let's say that they say x is 5. In order to figure out what my y is, we're going to take that 5 and we're going to plug it in, for x, and we're going to solve this and see what we get. So we have 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 1, which is 11. So when I plug in a 5, I'm going to get an 11. This is important because we're going to use this when doing a table later. We're going to solve a table in a few minutes, but I just wanted to make sure that we have that foundation before we start. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at patterns. So you have this whole set of guided notes where you do have to fill in some blanks, and you also have to submit a picture. So we want to make sure that we understand what are we looking for in patterns. So first and foremost, on this assignment, on this set of notes, and on your assignments, there's going to give you a little link right here. You want to click on that because then it already gives you this beautiful picture. And you are going to have to submit a picture of this at the end. So we want to make sure that we're filling this out, okay? So first and foremost, we have some patterns here. So we want to see what's happening with this pattern. Don't worry about all this writing over here. We're actually going to get through all those answers in a few minutes. But right now we're going to see what is happening. They also leave a blank right here for figure 0, and they leave a blank right here for figure 4. They want us to fill those in. So we know that figure 0 is going to be smaller than this figure. So we're probably going to have to take some away to make figure 0. And then figure 4 is going to be bigger than this one. So we need to figure out what's changing in each of these. So I'm going to look at figure 1 and figure 2 and say what changes between these two. Well, on this one there's only 1 over here, and on this one there's 2. So right away I'm going to click this and change the color to show you this one's changed. From here to here they added this. And then I'm going to look at this side and notice that there's 2 here and there's 4 here. So that means that they changed this one and they added this one. So again, I'm just clicking on those and holding it down to change the color. Because, really quickly, if you look at the document, it says, use your e-tool to change the color of any tiles that you see has added on so that it highlights. So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we change those, right? So then I'm going to look at figure 2 and 3. What did they change here? Well, it looks like I had 2 here and now I have 3. So they added this one. And then I had 4 here and now I have 6. So it looks like they added this one and this one. Okay, so I'm starting to notice a pattern. They add 1 on this side and 2 on this side. If I count up the tiles, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. I have 7 tiles here. If I count up this one, I have 7 plus 1, 2, 3, so that's 10 tiles here. If I count this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we're noticing, hopefully we're starting to notice a pattern of, it looks like they're adding 3 each time. So we are adding 3 each time. So if I work backwards, that means I'm going to take away 3 from here, which means I should have 4 in this picture. But where are those 4 that I'm going to take away? Well, I'm taking away 1 from this side because I'm adding 1 to this side each time and adding 2 to this side. So if they added 1 here and added 2 here, that means when I take those away, my figure 4 or my figure 0 should be these 4 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I'm going to take away, I'm going to go ahead and add right here, let's see, scroll down. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and add, let me change these to green since that's what color they were. I'm going to copy this one and paste it again. I'm going to go ahead and add these 4 because that's what this figure would look like, right? Because they're going to take away this one and take away these. This one is going to be the one that they add from here to here. And then this one is going to be one that they add. And this one's going to be one that they add. So notice we can see what's getting added every time. We start off with just 4. And then they add 1 on this side and 2 on this side. And then we start off with 7. And they add 1 on this side and 2 on this side. So then that means for this one, we're going to start off with 13. Let's copy and paste that over here. But that means we're going to add more, right? So instead of this one being red, we need to add another one, and we'll change this one to green. Okay, so now instead of having 3 on this side, I now have 4 on this side. And instead of having 6 on this side, I now need to have, let's change this color. Oopsie. Let's change this color to green. And then let's just go ahead and copy that. There we go. And change the color. There we go. So now this is what figure 4 looks like. So first and foremost, my very first thing says take a picture of this. This is what you're going to do. Whoopsie. I'm all over the place right now. This is what you're going to do for not only your notes, but also for your assignments today too. You're going to need to take a picture of that. And when we come over here, we're going to upload that picture right here. So I'm just going to I'm going to throw that picture in right here so that way we have it. Make it a little bit smaller so that way we can see the rest of our stuff. So that's again how to use the tool, how to look at a pattern and see, do I understand what's happening in this pattern? Okay, we want to highlight the new stuff that's being added every time. And the reason why is because right here we have some good information that we want to pay attention to. First and foremost, assume the starting value of any pattern is the number of tiles in figure 0. So whenever we have a picture like this, we want to first find figure 0 and know how many tiles are in figure 0, because that's where I start, right? If you're like, okay, I have a job. My job's going to give me a $50 bonus just to start and then pay me $10 an hour after that. Well, that $50 is just that one-time fee, right? That 4 is that one-time fee. You're going to have 4 every single time, and then from there you're going to add 3, okay? So my starting value in this one is a 4, because that's where figure 0 is, okay? Starting value, figure 0. Then I'm going to look at my growth. My growth is how much it's growing by each time. Well, I go from 4 to 7, which means I grew by 3. I go from 7 to 10. I grew by 3. I went from 10 to 13, grew by 3. So it's growing by 3 each time. How would I figure out what's in figure 100? Okay, so let's think about that. I'm starting with 4. It's growing by 3 every time, and I'm going all the way to figure 100. Okay, well, we can think about that as, okay, well, figure 100. So let's put a 100 here. It's going to grow by 3, so that means I'm going to multiply it by 3. And then I'm going to add 4 to that because I started off with 4. This, sorry, that's a really bad 3. This is kind of like a little equation that we're going to use. 3 times 100 is 300 plus 4 is 304. If we actually sat here and made all of those tiles all the way up to figure 100, we would have 304 tiles in that figure. This is an equation. We're going to talk about this equation in a second, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And it says we're going to let y equal the number of tiles in the figure. So how many tiles will we have? That's what y is going to equal. Then from there, we're going to have x as the figure number. So in this case, the figure number was 100. So instead of putting a 100 right there, we're going to put an X right there. And then I have my starting value. This is my equation. Y equals 3 times X, because 3 is my growth, and X is my figure number, and then plus 4. 4 is my starting value. Okay? This equation actually goes right here with this question. Write an equation that relates the figure number X to the number of tiles Y. I can write an equation like this for any tile pattern. If it tells me that my figure 0 is 7 tiles, and then it tells me that my growth is, it's growing by 2 each time, then I can say Y equals 2X plus 7. Because again, my figure 0 is my starting value. My growth is what's going to change each time. If I'm looking for figure number 1, then I would plug a 1 in here. 1 times 2 plus 7. If I'm looking for figure 10, I would plug a 10 in here. 10 times 2 plus 7. But that's how I'm going to write an equation every time. Okay? So now let's keep going. What if I have to figure out a table? Well, we kind of already filled out a table up here, right? We put in numbers. So for tile 0, or figure 0, I have 4 tiles. For figure 1, I had 7 tiles. For figure 2, I had 10, and so on and so on. So when I come down here, if I want to fill out this table, for figure 0, I had 4 tiles. For figure 1, I had 3 more, so that's 7. For figure 2, I had 3 more, so that would be 10. For figure 3, I had 3 more, so that would be 13. For figure 4, I had 3 more, which would be 16. And I can keep going and going and going. So again, I'm just writing the figure number and then how many tiles are in that figure. All right, now we have a couple fill in the blank things down here where it actually talks about, like, what does all this mean? So a linear pattern in which is a pattern in which the growth stays constant. Notice we grew by 3 every time. That 3 did not change. So that's what it means. A growth has to be constant. It can't add by 3 this time and add by 2 that time. It's got constant. It grows the same every single time. There are 2 important pieces of information, which we kind of already talked about a lot. You need the starting value and the growth. Those are the 2 most important pieces of information that you have to have in order to write an equation, in order to figure out the next tile, in order to write a table. If you know where to start, aka your figure 0, then we can go from there. We can find the pattern from there. Okay? The starting value is always found when the independent variable, or X, is 0. So again, we have to look at that starting value is found at figure 0. Figure 0 is the starting value, and then from there we see how much it's growing by each time. When writing an equation for our linear pattern, the growth will be paired with the independent variable, or X, and the starting value will be the constant, or the number all by itself. So again, remember, if you know that the growth is 3, then the 3 is going to be the one next to the X. If you know that the starting value is 5, the 5 is going to be the number all by itself with no letter next to it. And then we'll just write Y equals in front, just like that. All right, so we just went through this first problem together. We answered all the questions. You are now going to go to the assignment and you are going to work on 2 more patterns just like this and then complete a practice assignment, okay?